Good evening, everyone. Just to maybe start off, I think full disclosure, it's always difficult to follow Prof. Ben's messages and Edward's messages. And I've listened to them for so many years, and it's always insightful. And thank you for always giving a beautiful, honest, humbling message. So I've been asked to talk about in a quick 5 minutes, and I'm really going to try and do that, because it's very difficult to talk about your journey in only 5 minutes, but I'm really going to try. Full disclosure as well, I started with no ChatGPT. So at the end, it helped a bit prepping for oral defenses and those last changes, and using the technology ethically as we would. So, I think my DaVinci journey is a little bit different to a lot of other doctorate students here tonight. I actually more or less sat where Prof. Edward is sitting now in 2013, when I was first introduced to DaVinci. And I was here as an associate from the business sector, and I was absolutely intrigued by this purple cow philosophy. I have many photos with the cow. And not just that, but just this mode to learning, and so many people don't know about it. And it captivated me, and it really made me feel more curious. And I started off as an associate, and then all of a sudden, I enrolled in my master's. I don't know how that happened. Finished that in 2016, and I wore many hats as a DaVincian, and I see myself as a DaVincian. As an associate, as a lecturer, as a designer, as a colleague, and today as well as almost a graduate. So it's really been, for me, an interesting journey, and always, most of the time, a positive one. He wanted me to bash, definitely not bashing. most of the time, all of the time, definitely meaningful. And the remarkability always stood out for me. And what stood out for me more was that when you walk in, and I miss those days when you could walk in here. This used to be the coffee area, and have the fresh scones here in the morning. And walk in here, and those values that's standing out there have been lived by every person at DaVinci. And well done for that. You don't always get that right. So the philosophy is deep, and it's enriched, and it sits in a lot of people. And well done to DaVinci, Prof. Ben, and all the DaVincians that's here today and not here today, because you make this work. So, how did my journey start as a PhD candidate? Well, I got a phone call one day from one of my business colleagues, Martine. She's also works closely with the DaVinci Business School from an associate point of view, the South Africa Express and Parcel Association. It's part of the transport sector. And she phoned me and she says, Juliette, you always have all these contacts. Can you please find us a candidate to do their PhD? Because the transport sector, TITA, is sponsoring someone. And without hesitation, I said, yeah, I know someone. Me. And I said, can I have that bursary, the privilege bursary? And she said, I was really hoping you would say that. And that's how it started. So it began, it was incredible, and it was also brutal. And any journey that's transformational should have that. Can't just be sparkles and rainbows, right? Because life doesn't really pause when you say, oh, I'm going to do a PhD. Let's pause everything else and let's just focus on that. And that's what makes the journey so rich, is because you have life in between. It's honestly not always the studies that's so difficult. It is having everything else as part of that and trying to finish that in the time that you've been given and the feedback that you've been given, and then life in between. And as Mike Tyson always says, that you think you have a plan, and then you get punched in the face and in the shins and in the stomach and a kick from the back. And that's exactly what happens. And that's exactly what happened in my journey. So the first phase was pretty normal. First part of the journey was really good. My personal life, I'm always quite content. I have a wonderful family and life outside business. And unfortunately, those punches came. And it was so strange when I had to think about this journey, because the study hardships came with personal hardships at the same time. And I'll try and put it in perspective. The moment you have to be examined, that's the hard part, because you get feedback that you didn't expect and you thought you perfected this thing, just like your normal life. So my personal life, and I always say any journey is personal, and I don't mind sharing some of the personal things. My personal life, at the same time, when these examiner feedback weren't as great as you want them to be, and you struggle through this, it should be perfect, and really remembering that, why are you doing this? Recently, I entered for quite an intense sport event, and the first thing they ask you is, what's your why? And the reason why they ask you that is to say that when it gets hard, you have to go back to the why. And in those feedbacks that you get, sometimes it's very personal. And then you have to go, why am I doing this? What's my real purpose? What is the passion here? That's the why, and that is the thing that keeps you going. During this time, my in-laws fell critically ill. Sadly, my father-in-law passed away. My mother got cancer. And in the midst of all of that, trying to manage life in between, my own business that I nurtured for so many years, 18 years, the guilt of selling it off to a larger group. And then on one day, after many months of prolonged stress and anxiety, and I can almost say I was experiencing the Barney world, brittle and anxious and non-linear and incomprehensible. And eventually I ended up with burnout, and not a loose word burnout as in exhaustion, a little bit of rest over a weekend, but burnout, and the one that leaves you in ICU with a heart attack. And when you lie there, and people are actually dying around you, and you're also the youngest there, a lot of things come to realization. And then you really realize, what is the purpose? Then meaning comes to your life. So just as that was very personal that I just shared, not many people know that, but you realize things and you take reality out of that. And then I say today, it's with extreme deep gratitude that I stand here today. There's no words to say thank you enough. And I think I'm going to try and remember the names, Becky, Daniel, I don't know if it's a Daniel or a Daniel, Emmanuel and Jeremiah. This is remarkable that we are here. Whatever your journey was, it is remarkable that tomorrow you're going to get your cap and you're going to be a doctor. All right, why am I telling you this? Because this is not a solo journey. You've said it, it's not singular. You have to have a whole lot of cheerleaders and a whole village that carries you through this. And you have to have the right support. I mean, one of the questions they ask us on our exit interviews, I will guess, is what would you say to other aspiring PhDs? Is stay rooted in what you want to do and know who is your village, who is your people, who's your tribe, because they are the ones that's going to support you the most. And like Thomas Zaz once said, he said, success in life depends less on your strength than on your purpose. And that line captured my PhD journey perfectly, because passion and purpose, not perfection, got me through it. So, in the bigger picture, this is a rare moment. You realize that when you're standing here today and you get the invite and it's happening. And it's a rare moment because Edward also mentioned about the privilege you have. And so few and far between in the world gets the opportunity to do this. And we do research, right? So I'd researched this a little bit. And only 50% globally of people who start their PhD journey finishes it. In other words, only half of them. And then on the African continent, in some countries, only 5% actually make it through. The throughput rate is extremely low. And then every year in South Africa, 0.006% of the South African population gets a doctorate degree. That's 59 out of 1 million people every year. And then half of them are not South Africans. So taking that is not just an academic milestone. It's a privilege, it's a calling, and it's a huge responsibility. So to all my fellow doctorate colleagues, you made it into these 3 books without knowing it. You have started a legacy, you haven't left it yet. You've only started it. So go out and multiply it and leave the legacy. And that is what, I'm so excited in publishing articles, because you look at your 300 odd pages and you think, what am I doing with this book? I need to do something with it. And you need to do something with it. And it's so beautiful that you say, Ben, that DaVinci was your multiplication of your legacy. So to my cheerleaders, Dr. Shirley Lloyd, you've taken me through masters. We found our books upstairs. And you were my mirror and my mentor and my guide, and we made it. We fought hard in certain times, and we made it. Your supervisor is your mentor, not anything else. That is the one that really holds your hand. And you have to really trust that person, and I trust you, Shirley. Trust the work you do in the communities, and you should be applauded for that. And then, of course, to all my DaVinci colleagues and friends that I've had and built over the years, you reminded me that research is not just about data. It's about people. It's about a system. And it's about being human, just being yourself. All my family and friends is obviously not here, but my husband's here. And although Samantha is an industry expert as a guest, she's also my friend, my colleague for many years. She's seen me through the journey. And I'm happy to see that you are continuing your journey also with DaVinci. Kobus, my husband, you've also always treated this with grace and patience and so much love. Lots of wine. He's very patient. The day I handed that, the final thesis, he says, okay, you're going to start riding your bicycle with me on a Saturday. Very pleased that I can spend my Saturdays and Sundays riding a bicycle with him. So tonight, I really stand here with full gratitude, and not just because of the degree, but the journey. It shaped me. It's taught me that it's not a title. It's about the purpose and the privilege, the perseverance, and absolutely the people around you. It's more than an academic pursuit. It's been a journey of faith and hope. And my mom always taught me that from when I was little. He's always said, there's always something bigger than you, and you have to trust in it. And that verse, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, has been with me forever and through this journey as well. And tonight I truly believe that. And I'll always say that. So thank you, DaVinci, for letting me live my purple cow story. For being remarkable, for standing out, for being authentic, not for being a purple cow, but really living the life meaningfully and standing out with pride. And that's not because of what I've achieved, it's really, in the end, of what I have become. Thank you.